Let's talk to Baroness Karren Brady, CBE, business executive, famously, of course, chairman of West Ham Football Club here in London. Karren, a very good afternoon to you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Afternoon.
Now, you're going to tell me that you found some place in business where things are going rather well. A report has found that small to medium-sized businesses are owed billions in unpaid bills, but actually they're doing quite good business. They're just not collecting the money. Is that what the problem is?
Well, yes. I mean, Simply Business has released their annual SME Insights report, and that highlights the challenges that small businesses across the UK are facing against quite tough economic conditions. And some of the report findings were quite staggering, really. I mean, the data shows that small businesses are owed up to £32 billion in late payments.
Right.
And more than a quarter of small business owners believe they'll be forced to cease trading. And, you know, when a customer isn't paying you, they're hanging on to money that's rightfully yours. And that can cause all sorts of cash flow businesses for small business owners, which can be very difficult for them to manage.
Yes, of course. It's always been a problem, hasn't it? Because you get some companies that say, oh, well, you send us an invoice and we'll only pay it at the end of the next month. And sometimes if it gets missed on that particular round, then there's another month that goes. And you don't have, a lot of people now don't have a lot of elasticity, do they, in terms of what money they can actually access?
Well, that's right. You know, customers can persistently make excuses for paying you late. So it's really important that businesses have proper terms and conditions. They know how to chase late payments because the impact on their business is often very significant because. Right. You know, they have to pay for the goods that they then supply, and if they're waiting, they can't start their next job. So cash flow is a real consideration. Can have a really serious impact.
Yeah, and I mean, do banks have much sympathy for firms in this kind of position? Because obviously, a lot of the small businesses don't have huge reserves of cash, and particularly if they do, I've been told by people I know in business, if they do a big contract and it's a lot of money. And it might even for them be sort of the majority of the money they'll make in any given year, but they have to wait ages for it and they have to borrow against it, and it costs them a lot of money.
Yes, that's right. I mean, look, banks are the best place to go and speak. I mean, the purpose of a bank is to lend money. That was what they were originally built for. Yeah. Speaking to your bank and talking to them about some of the problems that you're experiencing is very often the best way forward. But actually having systems in place to help you recover debts, there are lots of free advice. If you go to the Simply Business website, there's all sorts of advice you can get there. The Federation of Small Businesses can help. And hopefully the government will do more to make large businesses pay small businesses as the invoices fall due.
Right, and a lot of businesses struggling at the moment as well with higher energy costs, like we all are, I suppose. But for a lot of businesses, that's a massive increase, isn't it? I was talking to a guy the other week who had a sort of an electricity bill of about £100,000 last year, but this year it's gone up to like 250,000. You know, yes. no small potatoes.
No, I mean, the Simply Business research found that a quarter of small business owners are spending 40% more on their energy bills. I mean, these are costs that are not helping you grow or develop or build customers or a better infrastructure or improve your service. They are a simple fixed cost that you cannot avoid paying, and they in no way improve your business. So very frustrating, but you can't do without it.
No, quite. And what about sort of business rates and businesses that run in places like the High Street? Because an awful lot of those have kind of moved away, haven't they? I know certainly in local areas where I go, there's quite a lot of empty shops still. I mean, I was in Canary Wharf not long ago, and there's still quite a lot of empty shops in Canary Wharf. Some of them might be chain stores that have just decided not to reopen, but the retail sector is kind of under a lot of pressure, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, small businesses contribute vastly to the local communities. They bring growth, they bring innovation, they bring jobs, they bring vibrancy to areas, and therefore helping them in every way possible is really important. And I don't think what people understand the pressures small business owners are under. You take a massive challenge, risk and chance to go and open your own business. And very often people say to you, oh, that's so risky, don't do it. You take the plunge, you back yourself, you're prepared to learn on the job, you use your own money in many cases to get started, and you're everything in that business when you start. You are the finance director, the marketing director, the sales director, the customer service, you're ordering, you're chasing bills, you're making the tea, you're doing everything. You're taking a big risk, you're creating jobs, you're creating taxes, you're vastly contributing to the economy. That's why it's really important that we highlight the challenges, we flush them out, we shine a light on them, and we try and help small business owners thrive.
And a lot of them didn't thrive during COVID. Some of them were able to get some help, some of them weren't. How do you think recovery is going for those people, for those who kind of did struggle through COVID? Is the government doing enough for them?
Well, I think the government did a lot with the bounce back loans, the COVID loans. I think they actually did a lot to really help businesses, and without them, lots of businesses wouldn't have survived. But those businesses also had to help themselves. And during COVID, you found a lot more innovation and companies making decisions at speed, whether they're small companies or large companies. Decisions that would normally take months to make were happening overnight. And you found with small businesses, you found things like a taxi firm that had no customers because no one was allowed to go anywhere, and a restaurant that had no customers because they weren't allowed to open. They were working together and creating these opportunities together through innovation, saying, right, we'll do food delivery and you can deliver it for us. So building this network of, problem solving all of the time, which I think helped people really start to think differently about the way you do businesses and how you find customers, how you build brand awareness, how you hire talented people, how you problem solve. I think it helped in a lot of those ways.
Okay, and many of those businesses who took the loans, have they had to pay them back already, or are they under sort of pressure to pay them back now, or are they still kind of dragging that out?
Well, that I don't know, because I'm not in charge of business loans. I'm sure plenty of people haven't, but I'm sure plenty of people have. I think the purpose of the loan was to bounce you back, get you back on your feet and see you through. I think a lot of companies that obviously haven't been able to see through, they probably wouldn't be able to pay their loan back, but those that have probably have.
Yeah, right. It's a good story in the Times this morning, I don't know if you've seen it, about a high street in Poole in Dorset, which is actually booming thanks to landlords kind of putting in a rent holiday for some of the businesses to say that, why don't you just waylay that rental payment for a couple of months. And it seems to have been quite successful.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to start thinking outside of the box to encourage people to build a business, grow a business and thrive in business. And that often means lots of local partnerships and people working together and helping one another and giving people a leg up. All sorts of initiatives like that are really very helpful.
Yes. Can I just ask you a football question? I think West Ham are actually playing in Australia at the moment.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of interesting things happening, hasn't there? Lionel Messi going over to sign up with David Beckham's team, Ronaldo going to Saudi Arabia, Jordan Henderson getting tapped up by Saudis saying they want to pay him £800,000 a week. Is that, do you think, the direction of travel? Do you think the money is going to kind of move towards the Middle East? Not so much America, because I don't think that's going to happen. But, the Saudis are obviously trying. They've done an incredible job of getting their hands on the golf business, haven't they? I mean, could they potentially kind of start making inroads into football as well?
Well, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it, that there's lots of countries all around the world that want to invest in the Premier League, predominantly because it is the best league in the world. It's the most watched, it's the most economically successful. It's also the most competitive. So you're seeing lots of money coming into football where people want these amazing assets to be part of. We're seeing lots of players going the other way and playing in Saudi Arabia for, as you say, astronomical amounts of money. I mean, it'd be interesting. I don't know if you've been to Saudi Arabia. I've been a few times.
I haven't.
Well, I've been a few times. I mean, it's a vibrant, buzzy place. You can sense the change coming through that country at quite a rapid pace, and how they're trying to broaden their reach and their interests is very interesting.
Yeah.
I think.
And they've got the World Cup coming there as well, haven't they? In 2030, I think it's supposed to be going. I mean, they may not have been awarded it yet, but I mean, everybody seems to think that they're going to get it after the 2026 one. But anyway, we shall see. Karren, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Baroness Karren Brady, CBE, their business executive and West Ham Football Club vice chairman, talking about small business.